now, yeah.
Fine. Over to you.
Okay, thanks, Rochelle. Okay, I'm especially pleased to be giving today's Devar Torah as it's our Women of Worth weekend in Kenton, and the Sedra and Shabbat Shira are quite a lot about women. And so I'm very pleased to do that and to extend our Mazel Tovs to Maris and to Danielle. And to some extent, it's something for all the women of our community. This Sedra, Beshalach, Shabbat Shira, is about women, as I said. It's about Miriam especially and her influence on the Israelite women, and about Devorah, who is the subject of our Haftorah. And in biblical times, they often had a song as a victory song, and that's what Devorah's song is about, because it was about the defeat of Sisera, and that was facilitated by Yael, who actually killed him with a tent peg. And as you know, Devorah was a judge and she was also a prophetess. But I want to concentrate a bit more on Miriam because I want to talk about the Shira. Miriam was very, very positive in Egypt, especially at the time when the decrees, she was only a child at the time, but when the decrees against the Israelites came about, that all the baby boys were to be thrown into the Nile, her parents separated and she persuaded them to get back together because she said, if we don't have more children, and this was, if there was a tragedy that they had to get rid of the boys, which did happen, that there was still going to be girls. And she also had so much trust in God that he was going to save them, that in fact her parents, Amram and Yocheved, they got back together. And as a result of that was the birth of Moshe. And Moshe was also foretold by Miriam that he would be an inspiration to the people. And there never was a person like Moshe since, so we know that came about. And that was what made Miriam a prophetess. After the splitting of the sea, which is in our Sedra, Moshe leads the men into singing Az Yashir, which is the song of the sea that we say every day. And Miriam then led the women. Some commentaries understand this to be that it was exactly the same as Yashir, that she just repeated Moshe, the word, everything was the same, and that was that. But in fact, it wasn't the case because there's slight differences in the language and also some other nuances. And those features seem to show that the version was different and perhaps very special. When Moshe said, he said, I will sing to God, and the people replied that his words, I will sing to God. When Miriam sang, she said, Shiru Lashem, let us sing to God, and all the women sang. But not only that, they brought out tambourines, timbrels, drums, and all the women came out dancing. So we wonder where did these instruments come from, because basically they left Egypt in a huge hurry, and they didn't have time to bake bread, as we know, and they certainly couldn't buy their musical instruments in the desert. So the Midrashim tell us that they actually brought them with because their faith was so strong in Egypt and they believed that Hashem would redeem them, that they wanted to be prepared to thank him. And they were going to be thanking him with these instruments and with song. And that's exactly what happened. They anticipated the miracles. And so the song was a song of gratitude. Miriam was a huge inspiration to the women of her generation to find their own voices and express themselves religiously in life. And so it is to the women of our community and to our shul, who themselves get involved with all aspects of religious life and help in every way possible, every single part of life in the community. And these last years have been a bit awkward because there hasn't been, until lately, the opportunity to do all of our activities, but now we're full swing into all sorts of things. And as you've seen, women are very, very much involved. So kol hakavod, both to Maris and to Danielle. Carry on your good work, as will all the other women of our community. I just want to add another thing about the events of this week locally, because last week when we were commemorating Holocaust Memorial Day, of course, the message was to be kinder to each other, more tolerant, do good things. And this week, we've all been deeply upset by the events with leaflets at Wembley Synagogue and apologies and things we don't know and things we do know. And also we see in our Sedra, humans are strange. It didn't take long for the Jewish people, for the Israelites, to start complaining to Moshe over and over and again in the desert. And of course, it wore him out. But basically, they had seen at first hand, they were witnesses to God's salvation of us. And so how can it be that we don't trust or that we don't have enough faith in Hashem when we can see things happening? I think memory is a very important tool, from refraining to speak Lashon Hara. And during Shabbat Shuvah, there's an interesting thing, which I didn't know before, but we remember the birds that did not eat the manna in the desert. They didn't eat the manna because they wanted the Israelites to get it. And so, interestingly, if we're meant to remember the birds and the good things done to us 3,000 years ago, and by the way, there is a custom today to put out food for the birds in thanks for that, before Shabbat, by the way, but in thanks for that. But if we're meant to remember that kind of incident, when birds helped us, then surely we must remember all the good deeds and all the things that are done by our family and friends and people that don't know us. And generally, people are good, generally. So we must learn to judge people favorably. And if we succeed in that, then maybe we can all sing. It's Shabbat Shir, after all. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Irene.
Thank you very much indeed for your Devar Torah. It was beautifully done. Also, your reflections, not only on the Parsha, of course, but on our community as well and what's actually happening. And we very much appreciate your words of wisdom. Thank you so much.
Hey, Shakai.
And I'd like to endorse Irene's comments, kol hakavod to Maris and to Danielle. We're looking very much forward to enjoying the celebrations on Sunday with them. Thank you, Irene. That's my great pleasure to now hand over to Stuart, who's now going to lead us in Kabbalat Shabbat. Thank you.
Thank you. Just before I start, I also want to wish Maris and Danielle Mazel Tov. They had their certificate presented to them on Simchat Torah, which is when we celebrate the Chatanim and Neshech Chayil initially. And the celebration tomorrow will also be a celebration for Philip and Martin, who are our Chatanim of 5783. So we wish them Mazel Tov as well. Yedid nefesh av harachaman meshoch el retonecha yaretz avdecha hayal yishtachave amol hadarecha. Can you hear me? Yavlo yedidutecha minofetu v'chol ta'am Adonai ziv ha'olam nafshi cholat ahavatecha Anam narfa nala behadla noam zivacha az titchazek v'titrafe v'hayetala simchat olam ותיק ימונה רחמך וחוסנה אבן אהובך כי זה כמה נחשפתי לב בתפארת עוזך אלה חמדה ליבי וחוסנה ועתיד עולם יגאלנה ופרוס חברי עלי את סוכת שלומך תאיר את מכבודך נגילה ונשמחה בך מה אהוב כי במועד וכוננו כימי עולם ידדי די 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 ידדי די 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 ידדי די 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 ידדי די ידדי די 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 ידדי די 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 ידדי די 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 ידדי די ידדי די 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 ידדי די 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 ידדי די 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 לכונו עננה לאדוני נביאה לצוישנו נקמה פניו בתודה בלי תמימות נביאה לו כי הגדול אדוני ומלך גדול על כל אלוהים אשר בידו מכרחי ארץ וצרפות הרים לו אשר לא יבוא שרו ויבש את ידיו יצרו בואו נשתחווה ונבכה לפני אדוני עושנו כי הוא אלוהינו אנחנו אמריתו בצאן ידו ויאמר קולו תשמעו ותחשו לבבכם כמריבה כיום עשה במדבר אשר ניסוני אבותיכם בחנוני גם בואו עלי 40 שנה כל פדו במעם תועל לבבם והם לא ידעו דרכי אשר נשבעתי באפי אם יבואו מנוחתי שירו לאדוני שיר חדש שירו לאדוני כל הארץ שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו ברכו מיום ליום ישועתו צפו בגויים כבודו בכל העמים נפלאותיו כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד נורא הוא על כל אלוהים כי כל אלוהי עמים מלינים ואדוני שמיים עשה הוד והדר לבניו עוז ותפארת במקדשו עבור לאדוני משפחות העמים עבור לאדוני כבוד ועוז עבור לאדוני כבוד שמו שאו מנחה ובואו לחצרותיו השתחוו לאדוני בהדות קודש ולא מפניו כל הארץ אמרו בגויים אדוני מלך אל תיכון תבל בדימון ידין עמים במישרים ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ ים הים ומלואו יעלו שדי וכל השבו אז יבוננו כל הצייה לפני אדוני קיבה לשפוט הארץ ישפוט הבל בצדק ויאמין באמונתו ידע דה 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 yai nai 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 yai nai 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 Adonai malach tegel haaretz yishmochim rabim anan v'avifal סביביו צדיק ומשפן מכל כיסו איש לפניו תלך ותעלה סביב סביב היי איבו ברכי תבל ותחל הארץ הרים גדול תנם Namo nosso livne Adonai, livne Adonai, Don kol haaretz. יגדו השמיים שתו, והוא כל העמים כבודו, יבושו כל עובדי פסל, המתפללים באלים, ישתחוו לו כל אלוהים. שמע ותשמח ציון ותגנה בנות יהודה, למען ישועתך אדוני, כי אתה אדוני עליון על כל הארץ, מודן עלית על כל אלוהים. אוהבי אדוני שנורא, שומר נשות חסידיו, מיד רשעים יצילם, עוזרו לצדיק ושלב שמחה, שמחו צדיקים באדוני, והודו לזכר קודשו. מזמור שיר לאנשי הדש, כי נפלאות עשה, הושיע לו ימינו עוזרו קודשו. הודיע אדוני ישועתו לעיני הגויים, גילה עתיקתו, זכה חסדו ואמונתו לבית ישראל, והוא כל אף יעבד את ישועות אלוהינו. הביאו לפני המלך לאדוני כל הארץ, פתחו בנו וזמרו, זמרו לאדוני בכינו, בכינו בכל תמרה, בחצרתו בכל שופר, הביאו לפני המלך אדוני. ירם הים המלאות, תבל ויושבה, נהרות ימחאו כף יחד הרים יעננו. לפני אדוני קיווה, תשבות הארץ, ישבות תבל בצדק, וימים במישרים. אדוני מלך ירגשו עמים, יושב גרובים תנות הארץ, אדוני בציון גדול ורמו כל העמים, יודו שמך גדול ונובל קדוש הוא. בעוז המלך משפט ההב, אתה כוננת משרים, משפט וצדקה ביעקב אתה עשית. רוממה אדוני נפתחו לאדם מחלף קדוש הוא, משה ואהרון בכונה ושמו וקורא שמו, קוראים אל אדוני והוא יענן. בנו מאוד ענן ידבר עליהם, שמעו עדותיו וחוק נתן למו. אדוני נתן יינתם, ונושאית להם ונוקם עלילתם, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו ישתחוו לקודשו. כי קדש אדוני אלוהינו מזמור לדוד. הבו לאדוני בני אלים, הבו לאדוני כבוד בעוד, הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו ישתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש. כל אדוני על המים, אל הכבוד הרים, אדוני על מים רבים. כל אדוני בכוח, כל אדוני בהדר, כל אדוני שובר ארזים, ושובר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון. ויקידם כמו עגל לבנון, בציון, כמו בן רעמים. כל אדוני, חוזר לעבוד אש, כל אדוני אחר מדבר, יכיל אדוני מדבר קודש, כל אדוני יכול לעלות, ויחשוף יערות, ובחלו כלו אומר כבוד, כלו אומר כבוד. אדוני למבויה, שווה ישב אדוני, מלך לעולם. אדוני עוד לי עמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. I just want to stop for a second, just before Lachadudi, especially with the ending of that last psalm. Last Shabbos, there was a tragedy in Israel with the shootings. And our thoughts and prayers go to the families out there. And unfortunately, it was a week when we laid most of the Pesach laning. And on Seder night we say, "V'hisham dalavotenu v'lanu." In every generation, everybody, there are people who stand up against us and cause us trouble. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu will save us. And then many people also finish with that, with the saying the words, "Oseh shalom b'mamav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'mu amen." May Hashem grant us all that blessing of peace. And may we know no more trouble in Israel, in Kenton, in Wembley, wherever we are in the world. L'chadodi l'kwakala b'nei Shabbat n'kabala. L'chadodi l'kwakala b'nei Shabbat n'kabala. Shama v'zacha b'dibur echad ishmianu elah miyuchad Adonai echad v'shemo echad Hashem u'tiferet v'helitila l'chadodi l'kwakala b'nei Shabbat n'kabala. Lekad Shabbat l'chavanecha gimeka haberacha me'rosh mikedem Nesucha sof maase b'mashavat tchila l'chadodi l'hikakala b'nei Shabbat n'kabala. Mikdash melech v'himalucha kumitzei mitoch avecha rav lach sheva v'yamaka abacha v'hu yachamol alayichem la l'chadodi l'hikakala b'nei Shabbat n'kabala. Itna arim yafaku milivshivitei tefatacha mi'ayad v'nisha beit halach mikovay nafshi g'ala l'chadodi l'hikakala b'nei Shabbat n'kabala. Hitorari kivara komiori ori shedaberi kavod Adonai alayich nigla l'chadodi l'hikakala b'nei Shabbat n'kabala. Lo tevoshi v'lo tikami ma tishtochachi ma temi bach yechesu aniyei ami nimnetai atila l'chadodi l'hikakala b'nei Shabbat n'kabala. V'hayu limshisha shota yifrachaku Komav yasis alayich Elohayich kimtochatan ahakahala l'chadodi l'kwakala. Aminos maltifoti get Adonai daviti ayadish ben patit v'nismacha v'nagila l'chadodi l'kwakala b'nei Shabbat n'kabala. Boi v'shalom atevepala gam b'simcha u'v'tzola toch emunai am degula boi chala l'chadodi l'kwakala b'nei Shabbat n'kabala. Yigdol Elohim chai v'yishtabach nimsar yehenei dametziuto v'chaviyen yachid k'yichudo nelam v'gam en sof liachduto ein lo demut aguf v'yeheino aguf lo na'aroch elav kedushato kadmoloch hadavar asher nivra rishon v'yemei shel v'shito. Ino Adon Olam l'chon otza yorel gilato malchuto shefa nevuato netano el anshei zigulato v'tifrato lo kam b'Yisrael kemo she'od naviu mahabit et emunato Torat emet natan li Amoel היה נביאו נאמן ביתו, לא יכל לפעל ולא יעמיד אותו, לעולמים לזולתו. סופר יודע צאתנו, מביט לסוף דבר בקדמתו, גומל לאיש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לו השערה כבישתו, ישלח לגשמים משיחנו, Nifdom Hakake Shuato, Mating Yachayel, Belov Hato, Baruchadehea, Chentelato, Mating Yachayel, Belov Hato, Baruchadehea, Chentelato.
Shakaya,
Thank
well,
you, Ashley.
well done, sir.
Thank you. Thank
Shakara.
you so much.
I'm sorry
Shakaya.
for your ears.
Thank you very much.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you. Good to see everybody. And Shabbat Shalom to everyone.